Hey everybody, Prepper Nurse 1 here. Long day. Good day though, very good, very productive actually. I didn't do a video today just because I was just working around the homestead. The forecast actually today was that it was going to be 100% chance of rain all day long, and it just did not happen. I mean, we had some rain this morning, but then it cleared up, and it's actually been a real good day. Awesome. I mean, I actually was really I was doing a lot of cleanup today, so it actually felt great to get out there and get things going and cleaning up some stuff that I wanted to get squared away. And I'll show you that in an upcoming video. But so, how's everybody doing tonight? Hello to everybody. I see everybody saying hi. Here we are. It is Friday. Week's gone by so fast. Unbelievable. So, before we jump into the video, I always like to say in the beginning two things. And it's funny because I got the best moderators, guys. I'm going to say it right now. My moderators are absolutely awesome. They don't tolerate any nonsense in the chat. And so I talk about that in the beginning of the chat. Please keep it clean. Please no racism, no stupidity. And, because my moderators will block you and you will be gone. Okay. So in our last chat, we had somebody come in, I guess, and Mike told me afterwards because I didn't even see it. And, he was like, oh, this guy said this, and this. And he goes, so I blocked him. And he goes, I think it was the same guy came in with different accounts and was saying different things, and we kept blocking him. So it was like 4 times. So, but that's what, and I'm very thankful for them because, this is a family. I want to keep things clean. And, that's what it's all about. We're here to learn from each other. And, that's what it's really all about. So, people acting like children, I don't get it. But people are going to still act like children. So anyway, so please be kind or you will be gone. Okay? Very simple. This is not a democracy. This is my channel. You want to not go do nonsense and swear at each other and act like jerks and idiots, go to somebody else's channel that's going to allow that. I'm not going to have it here. Okay? So that's just the way it is. Yes, it is. Somebody said censorship, folks. Absolutely, but it's a good censorship because we're not going to allow people to be nasty. That's just the way it's going to be. Okay? So anyway, the other thing is if you have a question after I'm done talking, please put it on all cap locks. Okay, that's the only other thing with that. Okay, so let's jump into the topic. President Trump signing the executive order to actually start hardening the grid in case of an EMP attack. Okay, and I'm going to say it is about time. Okay, number one, it's about time because China and Russia have been hardening their grid for quite a while. Okay, so they're actually going to do it here. And somebody had said to harden our grid would take 30 years from today. Okay, so I saw that and I said to myself, well, okay, well, that makes sense. Now, realistically, there are military bases that are already hardened. Okay, realistically, that's just the way it is. There's already different places out there in our country that are definitely hardened against an EMP attack already. So how do we get the rest of the country hardened towards an EMP attack? And my suggestion, and this is just, I was just thinking about this is how I would do it. I wouldn't trying to do every place at once. I would do someplace on the East Coast. I would do someplace on the West Coast. I would do someplace down in the South. I would do someplace central and someplace in the North. Okay, more in upper Midwest. Okay. You're going to need to have hubs that there's going to be normalization. So that's how I would do it. I would say, let's say, I wouldn't do Washington, D.C. because they're going to nuke Washington, D.C. anyway. That would be my opinion. So I would pick someplace else on the East Coast, maybe, maybe further north of New York, because New York would be another prime target as well. So New York City would not be the place to do it. So maybe someplace in Connecticut or something like that. Have a place up there centralized that you could do. Then also have some place further down on the coast, maybe in like South Carolina, something like that, and have that start right there. Whatever city that is, harden that city, okay? And, what about buying extra transformers? Yeah, because here's the thing is a lot of people don't realize the big transformers that we have that basically help run everything, they take 6 months to get one. Okay, 6 months to get one, and they're not even made in the United States. So think about how scary if we had an entire grid down situation in the U.S. because of an EMP. Now you're looking at, if you were trying to get things back up online, first of all, how long it would take. Okay. The second thing is to get those things that are going to work. Now, do I think they probably have some of them in reserve? Sure. They do not have enough to get the whole country back online. So they're going to have certain hubs that are going to be safe zones, basically, that are going to be online. Okay. And, that they'll get back up as soon as they possibly can. But again, this is hopefully for a lot of people, this is an eye opener, because the president's really truly for the first time acknowledging that we really have a major issue with the infrastructure in our country. Okay. We got a huge issue with that. And we really need to harden the grid. And also, we need to, like I said, be ready as much as we possibly can be. What's up, Maxie? You heard something. So anyway, Diana says, I don't know what you're all talking about. We're talking about a possibility of an EMP. The president has signed an executive order, which an EMP is an electric magnetic pulse. It can be released upper atmosphere from a missile from someplace over, either China, Iran, Russia. It could be North Korea, any one of those places. Okay, so that or the sun can do it as well. Wolfgang just said that. Absolutely, it could be from the sun. A coronal mass ejection that comes off that sends that, and again, there would be the same effect, but that would affect literally the whole world if the solar flare came off. Yes. CME. Yep, exactly. So, there's a lot of things that could happen that way. To not have precautions in place is insanity in my idea, because now I've had people say to me, well, before we had the electrical grid, people lived for, thousands of years without electricity, which is a great point. But in the last, 120 years, basically, in that range, we've had electricity, probably longer than that, actually. But we've had electricity. We've had power. So people are not used to living without it unless you're in a third world country. So those are the people that are going to be more ready to deal with that type of a situation than the people in the United States would be. I mean, the people in the United States, honestly, guys, if we have an EMP, we are screwed. I mean, completely and utterly screwed, because so many people have no idea what to do, how to survive without power. Okay. So, so somebody just put on here water treatment, right? Exactly. Water's not going to be treated in the power plants anymore, because obviously if there's no power, they can't treat that water. Hey, Elizabeth, thank you very much, Elizabeth. I appreciate that. Thank you for the donation. But the water's not going to be treated. The water's not going to be running. There's so many things that are going to happen back to the 1800s. Exactly. But the thing is, people have no idea what to do because they're not prepared for it, because most people sit around and think nothing is ever going to happen. We're just going to be the same as forever and everything's going to be fine. So, and actually, I just saw a preview. Jonathan Lithgow, I think is how you say his name. He's doing, he's got a movie coming up called The Tomorrow Man. It's about a guy who's a prepper. So, and then he meets a woman and stuff like that. But it's really, from what I saw, the preview, which was a 2-minute preview, it looked really, really cool. But it's somebody, that was, he's preparing for an emergency type of situation. Amish manual ways. Exactly. Truth Freeze just said it. The Amish are another group of people that it won't affect them if the grid goes down, because they already live off grid. Okay. So anyway, the thing is, there's so many different things that, let's say an EMP hits tomorrow. Okay. Now, and this is one of the scenarios that I always tell everybody when they ask me about prepping, and when I'm talking about prepping, I'll say, okay. And I'm talking just people on the street that I speak with. I say to them, if the lights went out tomorrow, how prepared, and they weren't coming back on, how prepared are you? And 99% of the time people say, oh, not at all. I go, do you have 2 weeks worth of food and water? And they go, nope, not at all. So again, think about that, okay? So that's scary, guys. That is very, very scary, that the fact that many people are not prepared. So now you have all these people that are not prepared, that are going to be out there that don't know what to do. Fear and panic are two of the most dangerous things in the world. I don't care how meek and mild somebody is, if they're scared or if they panic, they're not going to think rationally. They're going to make poor decisions. It could cost you your life. I mean, realistically, as preppers, people out here, in our community that are prepping, we need to be prepared for those type of contingencies. The reason why so many preppers end up moving out into the country, is it safer? Yes. Do we still have people to worry about? Absolutely. Okay. But some estimates, over 90% of the population won't make it if the EMP is a prolonged SHTF event. Survival Prepping 101 just said that. Absolutely. If you had a year with no power, I think that's a very accurate number, that 90% of the people would be gone. Again, depending on the time of year, that it was that something happened, the losses, and even in the summertime, guys, people are not prepared to deal with that heat. Think about how hot Florida is, okay? Good example. Something happens, Georgia as well, same thing, a couple of really hot states. Basically, in the summer, you guys go from air conditioned to air conditioned to air conditioned, and so what if there's no air conditioning? How are you going to stay cool? The buildings now, they're not made like they were before to have that cross ventilation. I have a cat that is yelling at me that wants to go out, so hold on 1 second. You want to go out, buddy? Come on. There you go. Oh, hey, Mountain Girl. Thank you very much for the donation, hon. I appreciate that. Thank you. Sorry, my cats, especially Buddy. Buddy's very vocal. And lucky me, Abel is also very vocal now. I'm like, oh, awesome. But I love it. I love the cats. They're awesome. But Buddy would not stop. He would just keep meowing and meowing and meowing. So that's why I had to get up and let him out. Hey, Smitty, thank you very much. Your second chicken prepper, LOL. Thank you very much for the donation. I appreciate it. But, guys, it's like we really need to get some kind of a plan in place. So I saw some of the chat here before we got started tonight, and I actually did a video on this, a Faraday cage using a galvanized trash can, okay? Take a galvanized trash can, line the inside of it with cardboard. You're going to line the lid also with cardboard. You can use that as a Faraday cage. You're going to have to seal that up, okay? So whatever you want to put in there to use as your Faraday cage, you put it in there, you seal it up, and then you forget about it. Just set it aside. So again, walkie-talkies, ham radios. I would also have CB radios in there. Different things, you're going to want to have like a laptop, okay? Have a laptop in there. Any kind of electronics that you want to work, okay? Those type of things. That's what I would have in there. I would, and you can make a bigger Faraday cage, obviously, excuse me, as well. But that's just a great example. And you got to make sure it's properly grounded. Exactly. So you can do that. It's not that difficult to do. And a galvanized trash can is a great way to do it. But you want to have some way to have things that work. The biggest thing, guys, after an event is going to be communication. We're so used to going, oh, here's my phone. Let me see what's going on, da-da-da-da-da, okay? After an event, your phone's not working anymore. If it's an EMP, your phone is not working. There's nothing going to be working unless you had it hardened in a Faraday cage and stuff like that. And again, my advice to people would be, in the initial event after an EMP, and I've talked about this as well, pretend you're like everybody else, that everything is not working for you, just like it's not working for everybody else. Keep a low profile. You're going to have a period of time where things get weeded out realistically. People are going to die. A lot of people are going to die. You're going to have a lot of people die from lead poisoning. You're going to have a lot of people die from drinking tainted water. You're going to have a lot of people dying from violence against each other, trying to, rape, pillage, and burn, if you will, okay? And that's one of the biggest things why, because I was talking a little bit earlier about being in the country, okay? Being in the country is an advantage, yes. There's still going to be threats to people in the country. Absolutely there will be. But generally, people in the country will work together for the most part, okay? And especially when a situation like that happens, I think people in the country will really, really work together much, much more. Now, let's go with people in the city. What's going to happen with people in the city? There are plenty of preppers out here, guys. I've talked to plenty of you that Why lead poisoning? Because they're going to get shot. They're going to die from being shot. That's what lead poisoning is. So that's what I mean by lead poisoning. So in the city, guys, there's preppers in the city. I know you guys have a plan and stuff like that, and that's a good thing. But you're going to be dealing with a lot of stuff in a city situation, a lot of unprepared people, and it's going to be a freaking nightmare. I think that for the most part, the first couple of days, people would basically be sitting around waiting for something to come back on. It's going to happen. Trust me. They're going to wait for the government to come and save the day. You need to be putting your plan in place. Again, having a plan and being able to act and not react is going to be so important when an event happens, okay? Because I believe that it's not a matter of time, it's a matter of when. Think about what 9/11, guys. Let's go back to 9/11 first. The Patriot Act was already written before 9/11 happened. And they used 9/11 as a jump off to say, hey, you give us your freedoms and we'll protect you, okay? Again, there's too many things going on. There's too many signs going on, that they kind of give you that heads up of what's coming. And it could be an EMP. It could be a coronal mass ejection. There's so many different, like I said, there's different ways that it could happen. It could be a supposed, let's do that, in parentheses, terrorist attack on the grid, because would it really be a terrorist attack on the grid, or would it be our own government doing it to us? Again, who knows? But the possibility of that happening is very, very strong. Now, me personally, if I want to reduce the population, if I'm in control, if I'm one of the people in the elite and in charge, the way I would do it, I'd want to keep the infrastructure intact. I would use a superbug of some sort that would kill off most of the people. That's what I would do. Somebody said, yeah, Prepper Drew just said guns will still work. Yes, they will. Hey, Hawkeye's Coffee. Buy wheat and grain while it's affordable. Yes, exactly. Thank you again for the donation, by the way. Yeah, because I'm telling you guys, because of what's happening in the Midwest right now, it's not gotten better. They're still having all kinds of flooding. I think it's like 200 miles of levees now have given way. So you're talking about a lot of destruction. They're not going to get the spring plants in. They said things might not even be able to do anything until like the middle of summer. So you can forget about it this year. And, will your vehicle be affected? In an EMP, yes, your vehicle will definitely be affected. It's going to, if you have a I think it's pre-78, I think is the year, that don't have the electronic ignition start. As long as it's before that date, an older vehicle, those vehicles will still work. All your newer vehicles, forget about it. They will not work. Too much electronics in the cars today. So definitely look at getting, an older vehicle. That would be the way to do it, just so you have something that works. Hey, Scott, thank you very much for the donation. I appreciate it. Thank you. But anyway, guys, there's a lot. It's scary. I mean, I'm not going to lie, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. If we have an EMP event, it is going to be very, very scary stuff. Because again, like tonight, okay, my kids are with their mom tonight. So if it happened tonight, my kids aren't home with me. Now, like I said, we do have a plan. If something happens while they're with their mother, I've already talked with their mom. I've talked with their grandfather over there. And so they definitely know what needs to be done. But, it's scary. I mean, you might not be home when an EMP event happens. I mean, it could, if they set it up where it happened at 8 o'clock in the morning, a lot of people are on their way to work. So think about that as well. Hey, Marfugal News, thank you. Narcus November, things will line up. Thank you for the donation. I appreciate that. And you need to give me a call, just so you know. You know who you are. So give me a holler when you get a chance, please. So anyway, facing death or cannibalism, what's your choice? Well, I'll tell you what, exactly. I mean, realistically, the will to live, guys, is so strong. If you look at when the soccer team crashed in the Andes Mountains, okay, they had to resort to cannibalism to survive, and they ate the people that had already died, okay. Yeah, my Harley has an electric start engine. It does. I don't have an older Harley. I have a newer Harley. So, yeah, the Donner Party is another great example. People did what they had to do to survive. I'm going to tell you what, you could sit here all day long Um, how do you think the Key West will do after an EMP? Thank you very much for the donation, by the way. The Key West, you know, you're still going to be affected by an EMP. The whole country would be affected by an EMP. But the Key West, the advantage you guys got, there's a lot of fishing and stuff like that. It's going to come down to, guys, and I've kind of talked about this a little bit before. It's going to come down to people working together, people grouping up. And that is how we're going to survive as a race of humans. And I'm talking about the human race, not this race, that race, or colors. I'm talking about the human race. As a race, the only way we're going to survive is to work together. And so all the Donner parties did not end up being cannibals. Well, I know that some of them had gone off. Some of them were eating bark, and some of them did eat people. But the thing is, it's a choice you have to make. And if you don't, you know what I mean? Are you gonna die, or are you gonna survive? And so it's a tough call. And not one of us, myself included, I couldn't sit here right now and say exactly what I would do with any 100% certainty. Hey, Rennie, thank you very much for the donation. How you doing tonight? But yeah, guys, it's just the whole situation. Like I said, none of us can sit here and say 100% certainty, I will or I will not eat human flesh if I had to survive, or give it to my kids so that they could survive. None of us can say that. Hey, Deborah Lewis, thank you very much for the donation. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. So those are things you would have to face at that exact time. Like I said, we can all talk a good game and say we would do this, we would do that, or I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. A lot of it, guys, realistically, and I mean, it sounds terrible, we can all be prepared up the wazoo, okay? We can be prepared like crazy. It's going to come down to luck, the luck of the draw, realistically. If people like, okay, so here, what do I mean by that? Okay, so here's your town. Here's where you are. The horde is coming. They can go left or they can go straight to your town. If they make that left before they get to your town, you got lucky. You see what I mean? So that's what I'm talking about. And I think small towns will hone in on themselves and protect themselves. I think a lot of small towns will do that. I really think that's way. Like I said, guys, it's going to be survival of the fittest at that point. Can you get bad diseases from eating human flesh? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Absolutely. It's you get the shakes, from eating. You can get that from eating too much human flesh. Like I said, I hope to never have to do that. That would be the last thing I would ever want to do. But I cannot say with 100% certainty one way or the other would I or would I not until I was in that situation. Hopefully, I have prepared enough. Hopefully, I have enough seeds and enough skills that I can survive. I can grow new food. I know what to get in nature to eat, and those type of things that I will be okay. All right. That's what I'm hoping. And that's why I do what I do. I don't want to eat anybody. That's the last thing I want to do. Mad cow disease. Yeah, exactly. Composting is a lifesaver. Absolutely. Dude, listen, sorry. Guys, soil is going to be the key. If you want a good garden, soil is the key. Composting, using all that organic material. I'm going to tell you what, everything, like when okay, great example. I made myself a Waldorf salad tonight, right? So I had celery, apples, cherries, all right? So what I did was, like, when I cored the apples out and all that all goes into the composting bin. The ends of the celery, that all goes into the composting bin. Weeds, guys, when you have weeds, pull those weeds, put them in your composting bin. All that helps, and you rotate that, and it's going to be awesome. You're going to end up with really, really good soil. Rotation is the key to that, though. Wild food foraging and knowledge is important. Absolutely it is. Also, your medicinal plants, knowing what's going to work, because it's like there's no more going to the doctors afterwards. You got a headache, what are you going to do? You've already used up all your other medication. It's all gone now. What are you going to do? So willow bark is like aspirin, okay? So that's just one example. But there's a lot of things in nature. Wild lettuce is a painkiller. Somebody else just put it up there too. Yeah, but it's like, those things are going to work. And if you know what to look for, you know what you need to do, it can save your life. Worms took over my compost. Worms are great for the compost. Those are awesome. They will work that soil and make that great. Having worms is awesome. So chickweed is good. Somebody just put that up there. Knowing someone with a still is a plus. Yeah, like again, it's like, being able to have using like a grain alcohol as a disinfectant. Again, really important stuff, guys. There's a lot of stuff. It's very, very great. Red ringer worms are great for it, Joseph just said. Yeah, so it's like, having worms in your compost, and then you can take those worms and use them for fishing or whatever else as well. But they will really work that soil. Worms will work that soil great. No modern medical will be available. Mountain Girl just said that. Absolutely. So, again, and I mentioned this the other day, your CNAs, your techs from the veterinary technicians, okay? Veterinarians, nurses, doctors, any of those type of people, good to have in your group because they can really make a difference if you live or die. And, people say, what, CNAs? CNAs have a lot of knowledge, guys. And vet techs have a lot of knowledge, too. So don't discount them, okay? Larry Summers just said chicken poop. Yep. Another great thing for your soil. And, you're basically going to have straw in that chicken coop. It's all getting mixed together. Great to have. Great to have. Let's see. Have you noticed any people living in TVs where you are? I don't understand that question. Oh, MBG. They have those tablets that you can get at any kind of sporting goods store that you can put into water, and then you have to let it sit for like a half an hour, and that cleans that water and purifies that water so you can drink it. You're going to want to filter that water before you would put it in to a canister, and then they have tablets that you can put in there that will help purify that water to make it drinkable, okay? Please stop spamming the EMP shield. Yeah, whoever's doing that, please don't do that. If you have to, Mike, if you have to, block them because, the EMP shield, guys, I mean, realistically, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense that would work. And the price of that is ridiculously high. And it definitely is not something that I would recommend. I would not recommend the EMP shield at all because there's no way to know if it works or not until after the EMP. So can you get your money back after that? I don't think so. And if you were counting on that to save your equipment, you're going to be screwed, okay? Now, somebody else had just said they're talking about bleach. A couple drops of bleach. Bleach will clean up the water as well to make it drinkable. Again, you really, really want to have to, make sure drinking water, guys, clean drinking water is going to be so important, okay? Very, very important. Bean River, millions will freeze to death. Absolutely. If you are not prepared for the cold weather, does the mother of your children prep? Does she support your decision to be prepared? She does not prep. When we were together, she always said this. She goes, I don't get it. She goes, but I understand why you do it because she knew I was doing it for the family. And she said, and the best thing she ever said to me was, there's a lot worse things you could be spending your money on. So anybody out there that's having a significant other that's giving you a hard time about prepping, that's a great line to use, guys. There's a lot worse things you could be wasting your money on. And you're doing it for your family. That's why we prep. That's why we get ready. So I think that, people don't realize that. And so, that's why I think it's really, really important to explain it. Again, it's another form of insurance. It's another great way to explain things. 30 EMP weapons, not just one. That's the first strike. And again, like I said, I would not pull my stuff out of the Faraday cage right away because it could be 6 weeks, could be 8 weeks later, number one, that they would hit us again. Very, very possible, okay? But, yeah, Mike's saying there, yep. Anyway, but yeah, the mini Sawyer water filter, again. What kind of compost and toilet do you use? The best way, the kind of compost and toilet that I like to have is, using sawdust is a great way to use that. And then you can take that and you can make yourself a bin And once you have enough buckets, basically, of that compost of your urine, your feces, and that wood dust, or sawdust, take that, put that in there, and then you put a layer of straw over the top of it. Okay, and you just keep doing that. And then once that bin's filled up, you just let it sit there. Let it sit there for a year or two. You're going to have really good soil to work with. Now, I wouldn't use it in my garden. I would put it around my fruit trees and those type of things, just because I don't really want to put that kind of stuff in my garden, just because it's of the human waste. But honestly, if you have the straw in the wood chips, it all composts down, and it actually is really, really good soil. Still have to boil. Somebody just said that. Yeah. So once you have purified that water with tablets or bleach or whatever, it would definitely be a good idea to bring that to a rolling boil before you drink it. Okay. So just to make sure everything is out of there. So that's really, really important. I know this is gross, but you can filter urine. Yeah, you can if you had to. If you didn't have any other choice, that you would, you would do what you have to do. You could just drink urine. It's sterile. So, I mean, if you had, it's not good to drink urine, but if you had to, you definitely could do that. Okay. Who's going to hit the U.S. with an EMP? Deep state is a question. Could be the deep state. It could be the Soviets. It could be the Chinese. It could be North Korea. It could be Iran. I mean, there's any number of things, guys, that could be, the catalyst. It could be from within the United States, a terrorist group setting off an EMP. Now, that would be more limited, but it would affect a large area of the country if they did something like that. So, there's a lot of different things that could cause an EMP. Again, it could be a coronal mass ejection from the sun. So, that could be as well. So, but if it was that, it would affect everybody in the whole world. So that's definitely something to think about. Scary situation, definitely very, very scary. Have you been trained in hand-to-hand combat, or are you depending on weapons? Both. I do know hand-to-hand. Had some training in the military. Saw some really cool stuff. Had a really cool instructor when I was in the service. But I plan on using both. Hopefully I don't have to do hand-to-hand, but if you have to, it's a good thing to know. If you get close quarters fighting, you definitely need to know, what to do and how to defend yourself. Your children, especially your daughters, you should, and any woman in your life, should know hand-to-hand. They absolutely should. A natural disaster is a more likely event to prep for. Absolutely. Great comment. We have natural disasters that happen across this country all the time. Look what's happening in the Midwest right now, okay? They're dealing with a natural disaster in the Midwest. We had the fires in California this year. We have hurricanes happen every year. We have tornadoes that happen every year. We have, snowstorms, ice storms. All these things happen all around the country every year. Do I think that our military law enforcement would fire on Americans? No, I don't, Mary. I don't think so. I think what you're going to see happen, if there's an SHTF event, people have families. Police have families, okay? They're going to go home and they're going to take care of their families. Will some band together to work together? I absolutely believe that they will. So can you be in prison for... I missed it. I missed that one. I'm sorry. But... So somebody's worried, okay, but I think I got the gist of what that comment was. Worried about being in prison for shooting somebody after an event is done. There's going to be so much going on, guys, during an event. They're not going to be worrying about trying to arrest people unless it was like some blatant, horrific person that was just killing indiscriminately, and, everybody knew that this person or that person was killing all these people for no reason. If you have to kill somebody to survive, in an EMP type of an event, nobody's going to be coming after you to try to arrest you for that later on, because there may not even be a later on. Do you think a civil war is possible? Eric just asked that question. I would hope not, because that would play right into the elite's hands. Think about this, guys. If we started having some form of a civil war in this country, be it left against the right or whatever, okay, it's an excuse to enact martial law, lock down the country, and that's it, game over, because then you are going to be controlled completely, Okay, so they would control the cities, they would control the entry ports. The highways would be controlled. They'll never control all of the country. That I will definitely say. Outhouses would be good to build. Absolutely, you would have to have outhouses once an EMP happened, because you're not going to have the running water to use toilets. So that's something to think about. I don't care if you're in a city, in the country, wherever you are. You're going to need to be able to. We're still going to go every day, and several times a day. So you're going to have that controlled, because again, that's something else that can cause disease, infections and stuff like that. Like basically using a toilet and then not washing your hands afterwards because, well, it's SHTF and I don't have the time to wash my hands. Well, then you're working with food. It's a recipe for disaster. So hygiene is going to be a huge, huge thing after an event. What about anarchy? Bird Lane just asked that. You know what? There's so many things, guys. After an EMP event, all bets are off. Okay, you better hope that you can hook up with the right group of people to help you survive. Somebody that has skills, somebody that knows what they're doing. Because if you don't, you won't last long. That's the reality of it. Okay. Think about this. Okay. I mean, and we're gonna EMP happens. Boom, just happened, just like that. Okay. Now, all your people with pacemakers, done, just like that, gone. All right, they're out of the picture. Anybody that is in the hospitals in the middle of surgery, what are you going to do? They can't do nothing. Everything is done. So those people are going to die. People that are getting dialysis, they're not going to be around very long either. You're talking about your elderly in the nursing homes, because people are not going to stay in a nursing home and take care of them. They're going to go home to their families. It's just a reality. I'm not trying to be mean or cruel, but that's just a reality. So the attrition rate in nursing homes is going to be almost 100% unless they can get out of there on their own. And most people that are in nursing homes can't. So you're talking, any of these group homes with your mentally impaired people, they're not going to be able to make it because they don't have the skills to be able to survive. And nobody's going to be there to take care of them, okay? So anybody that's relying on other people to take care of them, anybody on a ventilator, they're going to be gone. I mean, that's just the reality of it, unfortunately. Okay, so you're talking about a lot of problems. Now, you hear that one? That's Abel. I don't know if you guys can hear him. Abel. He's very vocal. I told you, Buddy's vocal, and now he's vocal. But anyway, so you're talking about a lot of people right off the bat that are not going to be having long life expectancies. Your morbidly obese people, if they cannot get out and get someplace, they're not going to survive. Somebody just said, I'm disabled and can't walk long. Yeah, Gail, that's going to be tough. I mean, unless you have people that are there to help you, that's going to be difficult. If you're talking about disabled people, people that are relying on lifts to get them up and in and out of bed, one of the nursing homes that I worked on, they had a morbidly obese unit, and it had to be 250 pounds plus to be on that unit. Well, I don't think anybody on that unit was under 400 pounds. So think about what's going to happen to people like that, okay? They're gone, guys. I mean, that's just the reality of it. How can I fit all these things into a trash can? Paul just said, you know what? You fit what you can in a trash can, and then you try to make something else. As far as a Faraday cage, there's definitely different things you can do. I mean, there's all kinds of things that you can do. So, but like I said, if you don't have help, all of us, myself included, will not last long, because I can't do everything I need to do. I can't take care of everything I need to take care of. I can't stay up 24 hours a day and protect what I have by myself. So, think about that. You have to sleep sometime. So when you're sleep deprived, you're not making rational decisions, so those are things too. Yeah, stoplights aren't working, crashes will occur, absolutely. But again, if it's an EMP, guys, the cars aren't going to be working anyway. So that's the reality of that. They just will not be working. So, yeah, okay, great comment here from Survival Prepping 101. In an EMP event, always watch the skies. Jets will be falling. Think about how many airplanes are in the sky at any one time in this country, guys. They're all going to come down, and they're all got to land someplace. So that's definitely a great, great thing. Hey, Julie, thank you very much for the McChicken Mansion. Yeah, the Chicken McMansion. Thank you very much. I'm thinking what I'm going to do. I think that's what I'm going to have on the door of the chicken coop. I'm going to have the Chicken McMansion. That's how I'm going to have it, so that then everybody will see that that's the Chicken McMansion. Yep. So thank you very much. I appreciate the donation. It's very nice of you. Somebody just said I live near the airport, so that you're definitely going to want to pay attention to stuff then, because there's people going and fall, or planes going and coming all the time. So definitely something to pay attention to. The satellites will fall out of the sky too, but most of the satellites will burn up in Earth's orbit before they hit the Earth, because they're not that big, so they'll be burned before they can re-enter Earth's atmosphere. So, but they will definitely fail as well. Hope for the best, expect the worst, try to plan for the best, or for the rest. Great comment. Very, very great comment. I always say hope for the best and prepare for the worst. That's one of the ones that I always use, but that's great. It's very right on point. Do the best you can. The biggest thing, guys, and I talk about this a lot too, it's like I'm not one of the guys that's going to come on here and do fear porn. I don't want to do that, because it's a counterproductive. Because when you do that, people shut down. Okay, because people are scared. The biggest thing is we can do the best that we possibly can. The best thing you can do for yourself right off the bat, if you're a brand new prepper, if you've never done anything before, is get 2 weeks worth of food and water. That's going to give you an advantage. Okay, it's 1 gallon per person per day. And people say, well, I don't drink a gallon of water. You're using it for drinking, cooking, and washing up. Now, obviously, you probably would not use that water for washing up, so you could probably stretch a few gallons for longer, because I would try to use, regular rainwater, and stuff like that for washing up. But you're still going to have to, dishes still got to be cleaned. Your clothes still have to be cleaned and stuff like that. So those are things to think about. Again, in the beginning of any event that's going to happen, try to keep a low profile if you can. You don't want to stand out. You don't want people to think they got something and now I want it. Okay. How long would it take for them to fix an EMP? Kim, great question. It would probably be minimum of 18 months to 2 years minimum, realistically. Now, they may have some spots up before then, but as far as the whole country, it could be as much as 5 years before the whole country would be back online. That's the reality. It would take a long time. It's going to take a long time to get those transformers in place. But if it's a worldwide EMP type of thing with a coronal mass ejection from the sun, then, forget about it. We're going to have to go right down to back to the 1800s, and whatever electronics we have. Like I said, the government has hardened facilities, guys. They have equipment out there, and, they will do what they have to do. Again, I don't believe that American soldiers, I don't believe that the police will come after their own citizens, because they have too many people, too many family members out there. Will some? Sure, some will, because you're always going to have bad apples in any bunch. But for the most part, I think that most people are decent people at heart. And I'm going to tell you what, it's just like with YouTube, like with anything else. In nursing, you had good nurses, you had bad nurses. You have good police, you have bad police. You have good doctors, you have bad doctors. I mean, if you have a choice of going to 3 different doctors and here's their resumes, and this doctor's kind of sketchy, not so good, this one's okay, or this one's really, really well recommended and fantastic, who are you going to go to? You're going to go to the best doctor, obviously. It just makes sense. So, the thing is, you just remain calm, have a plan, just work at things methodically, okay? Really, really work at things, try to do the best you can. And when things happen, don't panic. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I could sitting here, I could feel myself. If boom, the lights went out and things happened, your initial reaction is going to be, oh, like that. Everybody's is going to be. But then you got to fight that down. You got to say, okay, it's here, it's happened. Darn it, I wish I had more time. I'm going to tell you what, no matter how much stuff I get done here at the homestead, I'm always going to wish I had more time when something happens. But we just do the best we can. Okay, so with doing that, you just have to like I said, then you have to have your game plan. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to react. Okay, if all your family members aren't home, have a plan ahead of time that they know how to get home, several different ways to get home. Hopefully they have a bug out bag with them so that they have some supplies, okay? You know, the more you can learn ahead of time, guys, the better it's going to be for you. Learn how to garden. I've talked about that a lot. That's going to be such a huge thing in a post-event. The woods are going to be hunted dry in no time. No time, okay? So there's not going to be the wild game that people seem to think all this wild game is out there and I'll just go and hunt it. It's not going to be there because everybody and their brother is going to be out in those woods hunting them, okay? So think about that. Let's see. It's important to eat breakfast, Smitty just said. Do simplistic basic camping, slowly prepare for no electricity. Yeah, learn. Just learn as much as you can. Analog, thank you very much for the donation. Galvanized trash can for EMP protection. Absolutely. Thank you for the donation. And we talked about that earlier. Definitely do that. You know, and again, you can put laptops, cell phones if you wanted to. You could put, you know, walkie-talkies, ham radios, CB radios, all those things can go in there. Any kind of electronics that you want to try to have work, radios, those type of things as well. You know, just you want to have those type of things in there and protected just in case. You know, it's very, very smart to do. Yeah, well, you know what? If I died, right? If I died during an event, who's going to take my place as far as knowledge and stuff? Hopefully, you've got a group and you've worked together and you share those skills ahead of time. You know, that's really important. That's a big thing why I talk about, guys. While it's not SHTF now, form your groups if you can. And again, a great way to do that. I'm going to plug my own thing here. On my website, preparedness1.com, we have the Prepper Nurse One community. It's a great place to meet like-minded people. It is totally free. Go to my website, click on PN1 community. You can go on there. You can talk with people in your state, in your country. We have a disabled preppers group. We have a singles preppers group. We have, a senior preppers group. So there's a lot of people. I'm going to tell you what, guys, if I can get some older people in my group that have the knowledge, like here's a great example, okay? Greg is in my group. Now, you guys have seen Greg, you know, helping me with the chicken coop and stuff like that. He is a wealth of knowledge, Now, can he go? He probably could go all day. I'm just because Greg is he's a unique individual. But the thing is, it's like most people can't. Good quality cargo pants and tops, Rennie just said. Yep, great comment. And thank you for the donation very much. Thank you very much. Good thing to have is good quality clothes, good quality footwear, guys. That's another thing. Have good boots. You know, boots are going to be important. If you're going to have to be out in nature walking around, the last thing you want to do is come back and have 4 or 5 ticks on you, and then you get Lyme disease, and then you got to deal with that. You know, so it's like definitely have, definitely the gear that you're going to need. Cold weather gears. Moonlight just said that exactly. If you live in the north, you know how to dress for the cold. You want to layer up, have layers. You want to make sure you have all those things in place. That's really, really important. Real important. Let's see. Yeah, please, if you have questions, guys, all cap locks so that they stand out for me. Nylons keep ticks off. Actually, you know what, too? In nylons, believe it or not, that's another layer of protection for helping you to keep warm. So if having a pair of nylons on will help keep you warm. Warm clothing will be barter. Absolutely. Anything you have, guys, that's going to help. Anything you have that's going to help somebody else to survive is a barter item. Hey, Mountain Girl, thank you very much. That's the second time you did that today, so thank you very much. I appreciate that. It's very kind of you. Thank you. Dig your graves now, somebody just said. Yeah, no, that's probably not a good idea. You know what? Like I said, the best way to dispose of bodies after an event is going to be burning. That's going to be the absolutely best way to dispose of bodies. Storing water in plastic jugs safe over time. You're going to want to rotate that water. Somebody asked me about water, and what my suggested to them, if like say you have a 50-gallon barrel that's a food grade barrel, okay, I would change that water out every 6 months. That's what I would do. just to keep that water as fresh as possible. I don't want to be drinking water that I put away 3, 4, 5 years ago. So if you rotate that water, you could use the same barrel, but just put in fresh water every 6 months. You're always going to have, water with inside of 6 months of being fresh. So that would be my recommendation to anybody that wants to store water. You can use the gallon jugs, but again, those things are very flimsy and they break. So those are, those are just something that, those are just something that the way to do it. Ed, would you recommend practicing for an EMP, going without electricity for a time? Harvey Black just said that. Absolutely. I would recommend, because here's the best way to learn anything is to live. Okay. So if you wanted to have your family, get everybody on board and take a weekend and just turn your circuit breaker off for the main breaker for the house, turn it right off and live that weekend, a couple days, like it was SHTF. See what works, see what doesn't work. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you do that, you're going to find the holes in your preps. You're going to say, God, I wish I had this, or I wish I had that. And that's the way to do that. Again, knowledge is power, guys. Learning as much as you can. What works, what doesn't work. Knowing how to start fires, really, really important. Like I said, knowing how to farm, knowing how to grow crops. Those are really, really important things. Don't even tell them. Let them think it went out. Yeah, but Kevin, if you did that, then they're going to go to their friends and say, hey, what's going on? So, and again, you got to take away the cell phones. All those things get taken away ahead of time. So if you're going to practice that, you have to live like it just happened and see how things go. One of the things I've talked about, I haven't talked about it in a while, but I showed something recently. Board games, cards, chess, checkers, those type of things, Sorry, Monopoly, you name it, whatever board game that you want to play. Having things to distract you, having things to take your mind off of what's really going on. Like I love playing poker. I haven't played as much as I used to. I used to play quite a bit, but I have a couple of cases that, I have the chips and everything, and so that's what I like to do. That would be, for me, that would be entertainment. And again, it takes your mind off of what's happening. You're going to have ways to take your mind off what's going on, because it's going to be tough. It's going to be very, very tough. Hey, Prepper Drew, thank you very much. Thank you very much to help with the Chicken McMansion. Thank you very much. I appreciate the donation. I know I have to go tomorrow, and I'm getting more insulation. Now, they changed the name. I was telling you guys Roxol, which is ROXUL. And now they've changed it to Rock Wool. I don't know why. A company bought it out or something, but it's Rock Wool now. That's the type of insulation. So I'm actually going tomorrow, and Lowe's does not sell it. The last I checked, they don't have it. So I have to go to Home Depot. So I'm going to go and pick up a couple of bats, they call them bats, of that tomorrow. So that's I'm definitely going to be doing that for the Chicken McMansion. Keep your water in a dark place to prevent bacteria growth. Absolutely. Very, very, very smart. Very good statement. Definitely want to keep it in dark. That's why when you see the dark blue, that's why, so the sunlight's not getting through there to affect that water. Is a compost good for an EMP? Yeah, if you're using a composting toilet, absolutely. That'll be fine after an EMP. It's not like it has, depending. Guys, you can use a composting toilet. You can take a 5-gallon bucket, okay? Make a box, have a toilet seat on it, and, as long as you have the wood chips and stuff like that, or sawdust, wood chips or sawdust, you're good to go. You are absolutely good to go. Watch how they reuse water in the third world countries. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, exactly. Know what to do. I mean, knowing what to do, guys, like I said, clean drinking water is going to be a huge thing. People know how to do certain things in certain areas. Like, I mean, obviously I don't live in a desert. I live in the woods. I live in a pretty good area where there's lots of water. I'm very, very fortunate. But again, I picked my spot very, very strategically. I thought about where I wanted to be. I did not want to be in a low elevation. I wanted to be in a high elevation. I wanted to be up in the hills. Because here's the other reason. Why do I want to be in the hills? A couple of different reasons. SHTF happens. EMP happens, everybody's walking. Are you going to want to walk uphill? No, you're not going to. You're going to take the path of least resistance. Most people are going to go the path of least resistance. So they're not going to purposely walk uphill if they don't have to. So again, it's a deterrent, okay? Just a natural resource that's in nature is going to help me in my situation here, if it's an EMP type of an event. Can you use plants to treat wounds? Yes, you absolutely can. There's a lot of different plants out there, guys, that can treat wounds, that can help you with sickness, that can all kinds of stuff. Get the pamphlets, buy the hardcover pamphlets of medicinal plants. That is so important. Really should have that. You really should. Let's see. Solar light pads can be brought inside to be a renewable lighting source. Absolutely. Ever see those? You go down to the freaking dollar store and you have those things that you can stick in the ground, the solar lights. They can be used for inside as well if you had to. Line them up outside during the day and then bring them in and you got light at nighttime. Very good statement. I actually have those too. I got probably a dozen of them stashed away, just waiting. Google plants now while you have, while the internet's here, guys. There is a wealth of information on there. Download it, put it in hardcover. You know what I mean? Put it on paper so that you have it. You may think, well, I don't have the time right now to read all this information. And you probably don't. Everybody's busy. They got all kinds of stuff going on. But if you have it downloaded, or you have books, or you have pamphlets, or whatever you have right there, when SHTF happens, you go, oh my God, now how do I do this? Well, let me go look in this book. And you have all that information. It's there. That can save your life as well, okay? Make a hobo stove. Yep, yeah, exactly. There's a lot of different things you can do. We talked a little bit about, getting the camping stoves, the little stoves that, they're like cylinder about that big and they're about that long. And you can put it right out, vent it out a window. That's going to help keep that whatever room that you're in, that can keep that room warm, that'll keep you alive. Hey, 454, thank you for the donation. Rosemary Flatware has a couple of herb remedy books. Okay, well, that's great advice, and thank you for the donation. Again, guys, there's a great source right there. Look at that. There's all kinds of information out there. If you go out and get them, and then you have them. I have books on medicinal plants. I have books on edible plants. It can make a big difference of how well you survive. You can survive or you can thrive. I would rather thrive. I don't want to just be eking by and just making it. Not that I want to live in comfort and luxury, but I want to be comfortable as much as I possibly can be. The other thing that's important, what I think that a lot of people lose sight of, and I want to mention this really quickly, is that a lot of people don't think about, you want to keep things as normal for your kids as you possibly can after an event. So what do I mean by that? If you can keep things so that they're going to lose their minds anyway. They're used to all their electronic gadgets and all those type of things. But if you can try to keep it stable and keep things as normal as possible, it's going to make things easier. Kids are very resilient, guys. They're really resilient. So they're going to bounce back pretty quickly. A great example I'm going to give you. We've been here almost 4 years. June, it'll be 4 years that we've been here at the homestead. When we first moved here, it was a huge adjustment for my children. Okay, huge adjustment. And now it's just normal. This is the way we live. Okay, so, we have power. We've been worked on our power every year. Anybody that's followed my channel for any kind of length of time knows that, like after that first winter that we had here, I said to my kids, if I can prove one thing to make your guys' lives better right now, what do you want? And it was a unanimous more power. And so that's what I did. And again, I'm adjusting things again this year with the power. You want to make it as comfortable and as normal as you possibly can for your kids, especially just for that adjustment time, because they will be freaking out. But like I said, they will definitely be able to bounce back rather quickly. So Evil just said on here, please hit the like button. So yes, please guys, hit that thumbs up button for me. I appreciate it. It makes things better for me, as far as the analytics goes with YouTube and stuff like that. I've had a great crowd in here tonight too, which is absolutely awesome. And I'm glad that we had a lot of great comments, a lot of great questions. Absolutely awesome. And that's what it's about, guys. It's all about all of us sharing, information with each other. That's what it's all about. So, and again, if you're interested, you want to be part of the Prepper Nurse One community, which is very private. Anybody on the outside just can't go in there and see it. You have to, be a member. And again, it's free, so it doesn't cost you anything. It's a great place to bounce ideas off of people. Again, if you're looking to try to form a group in your state, you're going to have people that are in your state that are there. So that's another way of doing it. You know what I mean? Is it safe to store canned goods in my attic? Your attic's going to get pretty hot as long as you have some ventilation up there. Like, in the eaves, they usually have the ventilation. It'd be better to store it in your basement, to be honest with you, as long as you don't have a lot of moisture in your basement. So that's where I would always store a lot of my canned goods was in the basement. You can store them in a closet. You can store them under your bed. I mean, there's a lot of places that you can just kind of duck things around. If you looked under my bed right now, it's pretty much all loaded up with food underneath there. I'm always looking for little spaces where I can put things and stuff like that. But canned goods, if you can keep them in a cool, dry place, that's the best way to do it. Buy toilet paper tab, as OTG Living just said that. And thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. So anyway, guys, here we are again. We are at that time, which is amazing how fast this flies by every time. And I say it every time, but it's amazing. I sit down here and I start talking with you guys, and your interaction is a big, big part of this for me. It really is, and it makes it it's awesome. And I do appreciate it. I appreciate all the support from everybody. And, like I said, I'm so excited for this year. I really am. I'm like a little kid this year because we got so many different things going that are going to happen that are gonna come to fruition this year. So I'm really, really excited about that. So anyway, I'd like to end all my shows the same, guys. Remember, we are all in this together. So it's really, really important to try to help each other out if we can, and prepare for that day when it comes as best you can, and try to help people if you can. Okay. Remember, hug and kiss the ones you love. Tell them every single day. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. We never know what's going to happen. Okay. So that's really important to let those people that you love and care about, let them know. Okay. The other thing, remember STD, guys. It's one step at a time, one thing at a time, and one day at a time. Whatever you're trying to work on, whatever you're trying to accomplish, you can do it. Work at it methodically, and it will happen. I'm a great example of that here at the homestead. We just keep doing things, and things get done, and it's awesome. Even if it's a little at a time, as long as you make headway, make progress, okay? So anyway, guys, I hope everybody has a great night. I will talk to you all tomorrow, and I'll give you an update at some point, probably later in the day, because I have some things that I have to do tomorrow. But I'll talk to you guys tomorrow, okay? Everybody have a great night. Prepper Nurse One, out for now.